The Princess of Wales has made a rare public appearance, joining other members of the royal family for a lavish state visit. King Charles welcomed the Emir of Qatar to Buckingham Palace, despite concerns over the Gulf state's human rights record.
Kate Middleton is no stranger to diplomatic tours. Over the years, she has visited countless countries, shaking hands with world leaders and connecting with communities. But this time, it felt different. Stepping into one of the most sacred spaces in Saudi Arabia as a British royal is guaranteed to raise eyebrows globally. But on getting there, Kate Middleton made a move in Jeddah that stirred up conversations across the globe. What exactly happened during Kate's visit that sent waves across contrasting cultures? Stay with us to find out the details of Kate's unusual visit to the Arab world. The shocking announcement of her trip to Saudi Arabia stirred up excitement across the globe. Saudi Arabia is a nation rich in tradition and culture, but it is also one that has different cultures to what Kate Middleton was used to. The country had made progress in modernizing certain aspects of its society, but it retained its conservative values and historical customs. This left most people wondering how exactly Kate was going to approach this visit. For Kate, the trip wasn't just a chance to represent the British royal family. Rather, it was an opportunity to connect with a part of the world that she believed was often misunderstood. From the moment she agreed to the trip, Kate's advisors worked tirelessly to plan every detail. They planned meetings with Saudi officials, visits to women's organizations, and stops at historical landmarks. Many expect that Kate knew she would need to approach her visit with sensitivity and respect. Kate actually wasn't scheduled to visit any mosque in Jeddah. It was an unplanned surprise that turned out to be a pleasant one, and what came from this visit captured the hearts of all who witnessed the event. Keep watching to find out the details. Her invitation to the mosque arrived just days before Kate's departure for Saudi Arabia, put among a stack of official documents detailing the rest of her itinerary. At first glance, it seemed like a routine royal engagement, but apparently, some top officials already made a polite request from the Saudi government for Kate to visit an ancient mosque in Jeddah. But the weight of the gesture quickly became clear. The idea of a royal entering a mosque is a gesture that would truly demonstrate Kate's respect for Saudi culture, and that meant she could actually experience their religion, which is at the heart of Saudi culture. But it also came with some social and political risks. Just imagine the scenes when two contrasting worlds collide. Kate's team worried about the potential backlash from critics who might see her visit as controversial. As the days leading up to the trip passed, Kate set her sights on learning about Saudi Arabia and wanted to connect on a deeper level. She asked her team to arrange for her to speak with women from Saudi Arabia to hear their stories and perspectives. She practiced greetings in Arabic, determined to make an even personal connection. The night before her flight, Kate reportedly sat in her study alone, reviewing her notes, further pointing to the sensitivity of the occasion. The mosque in question was one of the most beautiful and sacred places of worship in the country. With its elegant white domes and towering minarets, it stood as a reference to Saudi's architectural elegance and the spiritual significance of Islam. For centuries, it had been a place of peace and prayer where thousands gathered to seek solace and unity. When Kate arrived, dressed in a respectful, modest outfit that balanced her royal elegance with the necessary cultural considerations, her car drove through the streets of Jeddah toward the mosque. Kate looked out at the bustling city, absorbing the sights and sounds around her. Towering skyscrapers sat alongside centuries-old buildings, and the pace of life buzzed with energy, yet maintained a sense of calm in the air. Arriving at the mosque, Kate was greeted by an impressive group of local officials and religious leaders. That's not all. They offered her warm smiles, and their respect for her visit was clearly shown. She exchanged pleasantries in both English and Arabic, impressed by how accommodating they were. Kate later shared that as she entered the mosque's grounds, she was struck by its immense beauty. Kate Middleton later described the event as a totally different experience, something that felt unreal even for her as British royalty. She also said for a moment that her heart skipped a beat as she walked into the mosque in Jeddah. The mosque's leadership had also made special arrangements prior to Kate's invitation. Kate Middleton was led by a knowledgeable guide who explained the history of the mosque, the architectural elements, and the role it played in the spiritual lives of the local community. And as they walked through the mosque, Kate's curiosity was evident. She asked thoughtful questions about the significance of certain perceived rituals and practices. Kate's local guide spoke about the mosque's role in upholding the unity that's established among the diverse Muslim community in Jeddah, explaining how it served as a hub for education, prayer, and social events. Kate was particularly touched when the guide mentioned the mosque's efforts to encourage women's participation in religious and community life, which aligned with her personal commitment to promoting female empowerment. As they reached the prayer hall, Kate took a pause and stood in awe. The vast open space was both humbling and beautiful. The soft light filtering through the ornate windows cast a golden glow on the walls, and the space felt filled with peace. Kate took a moment to absorb the quiet reverence of the room, noticing the small details like the calligraphy, the carefully arranged prayer rugs, and the peaceful expression on the faces of those quietly meditating. But there was more to come. As Kate continued her tour, the guide introduced her to a group of local women who were involved in the mosque's outreach programs. They also spoke about their lives, their faith, and the importance of the mosque in their day-to-day experiences. Kate was very attentive, moved by their stories of strength, and it was in one of these moments that a global miracle was born. Once inside the mosque's community center, Kate Middleton was introduced to a group of women who had gathered to share their experiences and stories. These were not just Saudi women. They were teachers, doctors, activists, and artists, each with a different story to tell. Kate had actually begun the conversation with a warm greeting in a light and engaging tone, immediately putting everyone at ease. The women responded with a sharp enthusiasm, their initial shyness fading as the conversation began to flow. It didn't take long for the dialogue to shift from formalities to something far more personal and meaningful. One of the first women to speak was a teacher who held outreaches to rural areas, educating girls who might not otherwise have access to formal education. Describing the challenges she faced, she told Kate about the societal expectations and logistics hurdles, like transportation and funding. The Duchess responded thoughtfully, acknowledging the universal challenges of education and how important it was for girls everywhere to have opportunities to learn and grow. She also shared her own perspective on the power of education, drawing from her experiences with various charitable initiatives back in the United Kingdom. The conversation naturally shifted to healthcare when a young doctor spoke about her work in underserved communities. The doctor had only just returned to Jeddah for a brief rest period after several days away on the front lines. She explained the unique challenges of providing care in remote areas, particularly for women who faced cultural barriers in seeking medical attention. If you know anything about Kate, you would know that she has long championed mental and physical health causes, and herself and the doctor found common ground here as well. She expressed her admiration for the doctor's caregiving commitment, adding that access to healthcare was a fundamental right and not necessarily a privilege. What struck everyone in the room was how Kate wasn't just nodding politely or offering empty praises. She was engaging, asking questions, and showing a genuine curiosity about their lives and work. When responding to the doctor, Kate asked if the barriers he mentioned made it harder to gain the required trust. The doctor agreed, and the sincerity of Kate's words and actions allowed for the women to be more comfortable around her. An artist in her early 30s also shared her journey of using traditional Islamic art forms to express modern themes. She addressed the struggles of balancing tradition with innovation and how her work aimed to bridge the gap between generations. In this moment, Kate's eyes lit up as she admired the artist's courage and creativity. She wanted to understand the culture even better, and art felt like a good way to achieve it. One of the most emotional moments came when a woman in her late 50s, who was also a community leader, spoke about her efforts to support widows and single mothers in Arab communities. She explained some tragic cases of young Arabian ladies losing their husbands early in their marriage, citing the example of a 23-year-old Aliha whose husband passed on his first military mission shortly after their wedding, and Kate was visibly moved. Kate Middleton thanked the woman for her incredible work. She mentioned how stories like Aliha's points to the many challenges women deal with. The room was filled with nods and murmurs of agreement, and a sense of solidarity was growing stronger between the women seated around the tea table. Other women also began to share their own stories, inspired by Kate's befitting responses. At one point, a young girl who had been quietly observing from the back of the mosque while sitting next to her mom raised her hand hesitantly. "Come on, Angel, let's hear you," Kate said, encouraging the young girl with a gentle nod and a soft wave. The girl stood up and shared her dream of becoming a journalist. Her voice was shaky at first, but she gained confidence as she spoke about her desire to tell stories that mattered and to challenge stereotypes. The mother smiled warmly in the nearby audience, and other women with whom Kate was discussing also gave warm smiles, applauding the girl's bravery and ambition, while appreciating the innocence in her tone and appearance. As she continued, her confidence grew. She explained that storytelling had the power to build bridges between cultures, adding that platforms like YouTube and other digital media had made it easier to reach people around the world. "It's amazing to think how far a single story can go," Fatima said, her eyes lighting up. The other women in the room, including her mother, smiled warmly, applauding her bravery and ambition. Kate, clearly moved, leaned toward the girl with an encouraging expression on her face. She said that storytelling was one of the most powerful tools to inspire change, and that Fatima's passion for it was something to be proud of. Kate asked what kinds of stories Fatima wanted to tell. The girl hesitated briefly before explaining that she wanted to write about the everyday lives of people who often went unnoticed. She mentioned farmers, market vendors, and teachers specifically. She believed these stories carried lessons about the everyday Saudi people and a message of hope that everyone could learn from. Kate nodded and told her that her dream was both admirable and achievable. Kate also added that the world needed more young women like Fatima, who were ready to challenge narratives and amplify voices that often went unheard. Fatima held in her hands a small, worn notebook as she explained how she wanted to share real stories about people and show the world that cultures could come together. The week since Fatima learned about Kate's potential visit, she had troubled the mom to attend the event and hoped to perhaps share some words with Kate herself. In a moment of unexpected gesture, Kate invited her to come closer. She told Fatima she was brave and that her dream was important. Then Kate whispered to one of her crew. He soon returned with a silver-colored leather bag from which Kate removed a gift for Fatima. Kate gave her a beautiful leather-bound journal. She handed it to Fatima, urging her to use it to write her stories because they matter. Fatima's face lit up as she held the journal. It was more than a gift she would keep forever. It felt like a promise that her voice could actually make a difference. Fatima's family lived simply, but they always supported her love for stories. Her father worked as a teacher, and her mother was a seamstress. The notebook she carried had been a birthday gift from her brother, Salim. She wrote in it every day, recording what she saw in school each day, believing that if she could narrate her daily life, she could narrate global events. When the cameras captured this moment, they showed something different. Instead of focusing on Kate's outfit or royal duties, they captured the connection between her and Fatima. Soon, the photos and videos spread, and people around the world admired Kate's kind gesture and Fatima's courage. Given the formal nature of this trip, the tea table chat couldn't have gone any better for Kate Middleton. She felt more settled in with the Saudis than the uneasy feeling she had gotten carried away with initially. News of her open and heartfelt conversations with the women meant people were no longer simply there to catch a glimpse of her. They were there to witness something special. It was during this that the speakers went off, and the women with whom Kate Middleton was chatting with began to say temporary goodbyes, but the story was far from over. What happened next was something no one had anticipated. A local imam then approached Kate and invited her to join a special prayer gathering that was set to take place in the courtyard of the mosque. Kate Middleton initially hesitated for a brief moment before she agreed, signaling her willingness to be part of this Saudi prayer experience. The courtyard was an open, inviting space, lined with tiles that reflected the glow of the setting sun. Kate watched as people began to arrange themselves in neat rows, preparing for the communal prayer. Kate's every movement was observed closely, as many people, especially children, wondered if she could blend in, but she handled herself with the same grace she had displayed throughout the day. She removed her shoes like the women did as she entered the courtyard. As the women fell in line with their attire, Kate, who had now changed into the dress the imam gave her, also joined the rows of women, standing shoulder to shoulder with them. Like the other women, Kate stood quietly, her head bowed slightly, as the prayer began. The sound of the imam's voice filled the courtyard through the speakers, and his words were rhythmic and melodic. Though Kate Middleton couldn't understand, she saw the women around her 100% zoned into what was happening. Kate didn't try to recite the words, but her posture and demeanor showed respect for the moment. As the prayer ended, a hush fell over the courtyard, and photographs followed. Now, Fatima wasn't the only journalist around. Mainstream Saudi media outlets and the royal paparazzi were also present, one of whom had promised brave Fatima a holiday internship. As Kate Middleton prepared to address the press, she touched on the common challenges women in Saudi Arabia faced. Though progress had been made in recent years, deep-rooted barriers still limited access to education and opportunities, particularly for girls like Fatima, who hail from rural areas. Kate described her conversations with the women inside the mosque, sharing how inspired she felt by their strength and determination. She recounted some of the personal stories they had shared, including Aliha and Fatima's. She explained that the young girl had spoken about the power of storytelling to change perspectives, and how she aspired to tell stories that could unite people across cultural divides. As Kate spoke, she addressed the critical role education played in empowerment. She also acknowledged the progress being made, but pointed out the ongoing challenges that many girls still faced, including limited access to schools and learning materials. Education, she said, was not just a right, but a key to creating lasting change. She shared examples of successful initiatives she had seen elsewhere in the world, as she made a direct call to action and urged the press to build the imagination of the same possibilities for their own communities. She called for more people to invest in specific programs, including a scholarship fund for girls and a micro-loan initiative for women entrepreneurs. She described how a single donation could provide a girl with her first set of media gear and an internship, giving her access to tell real-world stories within and outside the Arab world. Business loans would also enable widows to start small businesses or bring a community access to resources that could transform lives. The reaction was immediate. Many in the crowd began sharing her words on social media. Journalists also joined, knowing the story would make waves. Within hours, the charities Kate mentioned reported an influx of donations. Hashtags supporting the causes trended online, and a scholarship fund linked to her visit saw contributions from across the globe. After the speech, Kate moved through the crowd to meet attendees personally. In addition to the silver-colored notebook, Kate responded with genuine admiration for the Fatima's creativity and bravery, and promised to send Fatima a laptop with educational software to support her dream. The paparazzi, who are always present during royal visits, captured the exchange. The images quickly spread, showing Kate holding Fatima's notebook, while the young girl smiled beside her. For Aliha, Kate Middleton offered her sympathies for such a tragic start to her married life. Kate Middleton proceeded to pledge some relief funds, which she admitted would not bring her husband back, but can set her on course for an undoubtedly bright future. By the end of the day, the impact of Kate's visit was evident. Donations to the highlighted charities soared, enabling the funding of dozens of scholarships and providing resources for women-led businesses. Social media platforms buzzed with praise for Kate's speech and her actions. One user described her as someone who didn't just attend events, but actively made a difference. Kate's visit went from speculative to transformative. As she left the mosque, Kate Middleton waved at a grateful audience, leaving with them a burden to help discover the untapped potential in every corner of the world. As she stepped back into the car, Kate glanced back at the mosque and the crowd that had gathered there. She smiled softly, her heart full. This was a day she would carry with her forever, a reminder that even the smallest gestures could create ripples of change. What stands out for you from Kate Middleton's visit to Jeddah? Let us know in the comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.